Pokemon designs have been based on pretty much everything, from plants, to animals, to everyday items like keys, ice cream, and garbage. Pokemon have even been based on real-life history and mythology from around the world. In fact, in Pokémon Platinum, I have counted 16 different Pokemon evolution lines that have direct ties to Japanese myth. So I decided to do a hardcore Nuzlocke with just these mythological Pokemon. The rules of the run are simple. I can only catch the first myth-based Pokemon on each route. If one of my Pokemon faints at any time, it can't be used for the rest of the run and must be permanently boxed. My Pokemon also can't be a higher level than the next gym leader's ace Pokemon. I have to play on set mode and no non-held items are allowed in battle. And if my entire party faints in one battle, the challenge is over and I lose. Professor Rowan gives me and my rival Barry our very first Pokemon, and I choose Turtwig. Torterra's design is based on the World Turtle, a legend in many cultures that states the earth is supported by or resting on the back of a giant turtle. I get to Jubilife City, and while there, I grab the old rod from the fisherman on Route 218. Then I fish on Route 204 for Magikarp and add them to my team. Magikarp and Gyarados are based on the tale that if any carp could swim up the Yellow River and leap over a waterfall called the Dragon's Gate, their perseverance would pay off and they would transform into dragons. My second fight with Barry is very easy, so I get the Rock Smash HM and make my way into Orberg City. The fight with the first gym leader, Rourke, is a great matchup for Turtwig. It takes out Geodude with a Razor Leaf, then Onix with 2 more Absorbs. Cranidos can be a little scary because it's faster and can flinch with Headbutt, but Turtwig doesn't flinch and one-shots the fossil Pokemon, earning me the Coal Badge. The next gym is in Eterna City, but I have to deal with Team Galactic before I can get there. I help Dawn and Rowan out before getting to Floroma Town. Turtwig evolves into Grotle after fighting the grunts in the meadow, and I fight my way through the Valley Windworks to meet Commander Mars. Even though she's the one with the Perugly, it's me who's the scaredy cat, and I realize I need to level up before taking her on. So, I level my team and evolve Magikarp into Gyarados. And with an Intimidate drop, her fat cat is no match for me. With Mars out of the way, I can move up Route 205 and into Eterna Forest. I team up with Cheryl, and after escorting her through the woods, I stay behind to get the next member of my team. There's a 4% chance to get a Ghastly in Eterna Forest. Ghastly could be based on a couple different Japanese myths, one being the Sojinbi, the head of an old monk covered in flames that flies through the night sky. Another being the Hitodama, translating to human soul, glowing orbs of fire or light that float near graveyards or places where people have died, believed to be the souls of the dead. Ghastly is a great pickup for the team, due to being a ghost and poison type, meaning it has a type advantage into both the grass and ghost type gym leaders. In the gym, the Gardenia fight was close, but ultimately not too bad. Ghastly solos the Turtwig, then Grotle sets up a curse and takes down Cherim. With the Cherry Berry, Grotle shakes off a Stun Spore to weaken Roserade, then Gyarados finishes the fight with a Bite, and Gardenia gives me the Forest Badge. After getting cut from Cynthia, I clear out the Eterna Galactic building and meet Commander Jupiter for the first time. Her Skuntank is a problem for my team, with both Dark and Poison moves to counter Ghastly and Grotle. Gyarados learns Dragon Rage at level 23, which always does exactly 40 damage, and is a huge help for the early game fights, even allowing Gyarados to solo Jupiter. After getting the bicycle, I go to Route 206 for some more encounters. I've always wondered what Gligar was inspired by, and it turns out that it looks almost exactly like the Japanese yokai Amikiri. The Amikiri is known for causing mischief in fishing villages because it loves to cut nets for some reason. This is probably why Gligar has the Hypercutter ability. In Wayward Cave, I encounter Bronzor, which is inspired by the Japanese ghost story titled Of a Mirror and a Bell, and add the Steel and Psychic type to the team. I get to Hearthome City and accept the gift Eevee from Bebe. I can use one of its evolutions later. Inside Hearthome's gym, Fantina is a tough battle. I use Haunter to take out Duskull, but Haunter is left pretty much unusable for the rest of the fight. Her Ace Miss Magus comes out next and confuses Gyarados, stopping me from getting a clean knockout. Then the ghost just keeps using Shadow Ball, and I realize I have to make a sacrifice to win the fight. It's not what I had planned, but I choose to sacrifice Haunter, as its usefulness is starting to lessen around this point in the game, and I take my first death of the run. Gyarados then quickly avenges his friend Haunter with 2 bites, taking out the rest of her Pokemon, earning me the Relic Badge. Before moving any further, I equip a Soothe Bell to Eevee and spend about 30 minutes running around Hearthome to level up my party's friendship. Then getting another level allows Eevee to evolve into Espeon. Espeon's design is based on the Nekomata, a 2-tailed cat monster that lives in the mountains and is said to be very malicious, even blackmailing or enslaving humans to do their bidding. Sounds just like a normal cat to me. The next rival battle is a little more difficult than the last, as he has some new Pokemon and evolved his old ones, but Barry still doesn't stand a chance against me. In Solaceon Town, I turn my clock to night and go into the Lost Tower. Here I can get a Duskull to replace the ghost type I lost to Fantina. Duskull and its evolutions are based on another yokai, the Chochin Obake. This is a usually harmless ghost that takes the form of a paper lantern and loves to scare humans. I traverse routes 210 and 215 without any issues, then make it to Veilstone City. Groudon evolves into its final form Torterra at level 32 and learns Earthquake. I take out the Karate Quads in the Veilstone Gym and challenge Maylene for the 4th gym badge. With 2 flying types, 2 psychic types, and a ghost type, her fighting team really never stood a chance, and after Torterra Earthquakes Lucario, I got the Cobble badge from Maylene. When I exit the gym, Dawn asks for help getting her Pokedex back from Team Galactic. And after dealing with them, I get the Fly HM from the warehouse and start to head to Pastoria City. On Route 214, I pick up a Razor Fang, and on Route 213, Gligar levels up and evolves into Gliscor. Barry wants to fight for the 5th time outside Pastoria Gym, this one being maybe the easiest yet, with his team not changing at all since the fight on Route 209. I could challenge Crasher Wake right now, but I need to get a little more help first. I head back to Route 215 and catch a Lickitung. Lickitung has ties to a yokai called the Akaname, which translates to Filth Licker. This goblin-like creature has claws and appears in dirty places, using a long, sticky tongue to lick up the filth. Gross. But as much as I don't want to be anywhere near this filthy Pokemon, Lickitung and its evolution Licky Licky have a great move pool. It's actually the only Pokemon I have that can learn the Shockwave TM that I got on Route 215. So I level my team up and challenge the gym. Crasher Wake's lineup is scary, especially his Floatzel. The Weasel's moveset hits 4 of my Pokemon for super effective damage, and Ice Fang even hits Torterra and Gliscor for 4 times damage. The fight starts with my Gyarados taking out his with some Dragon Rages. Then Torterra Razor leaves Quagsire for major damage. Finally, the tag team of Gyarados and Licky Licky finish Floatzel, and I get gifted the Fen badge from Wake. After beating Crasher Wake, Team Galactic starts their grand plan by testing a bomb in the Great Marsh. I chase the grunt to the Valor Lakefront where Cynthia meets me to give me the potion that clears the Psyduck out of Route 210. The north part of Route 210 is the hardest route in the game, with lots of ace trainers in the way and a thick fog that can cause you to miss your moves. But I make it through without any issues, even catching a Barboach with the Good Rod. Barboach and Whiscash are based on catfish, but not just any ordinary catfish. They are based on the mythical Namazu, a giant catfish that lives deep underground and can cause earthquakes by thrashing its tail. Once I arrive in Celestic Town, I chat with the man in the shop to get the Choice Specs item, a massive boost to any of my special attackers. Cyrus tries to battle me, but his team is pretty weak right now with only 3 unevolved Pokemon. And as a reward for beating the Galactic boss, Cynthia's grandmother gives me the Surf HM. With the ability to surf, before going to Canalave City, I make my way to the Fuego Ironworks and catch a Magmar. Magmar's design comes from the Basan, a bird-like yokai with fire spewing from its mouth and tail. I finally make it to Canalave City, where Barry wants yet another rematch on the bridge. Using my type advantages, I win easily. Licky Licky shocks his Staraptor, Gliscor takes down Heracross, Torterra razor leaves Floatzel, Gyarados drops Infernape, and Bronzong finishes Roserade to end the fight. Now it's time to take on the Canalave City gym, and my strategy for the Byron fight is simple. Use Magmar to one-shot Magneton with Lava Plume, then use my plethora of ground types to overwhelm Steelix and Bastiodon. And with the dinosaur defeated, Byron gives me the Mine Badge, meaning I only need 2 more badges before taking on the Elite Four. But before I can get to the next gym, I have a little problem to deal with. The Space-Time Terrorists are back, this time targeting the 3 lakes of Sinnoh. I first have to head to Lake Valor to investigate. At Lake Valor, Bronzong and Magmar take down Saturn, but he has already captured Azelf, so I move on to Lake Verity to help Dawn. I defeat Mars, but again I'm too late. The last lake is near Snowpoint City, and so is the 7th gym, so I start to make my way north. Along the way I caught a Sneasel on Route 217, based on the Kama Itachi, which is literally a weasel with long, sickle-like claws. I get the Rock Climb HM in the blizzard, but can't use it until I beat the gym. I also catch a Snorunt on Route 216. Snorunt is designed around a yokai called the Yukinko, which is a snow spirit resembling a child wrapped in warm clothes. Its evolution Frostlass is based on the Yuki Onna, another Japanese myth. The Yuki Onna is another snow spirit, said to be the mother of the Yukinko, and preys on lost hikers during snowstorms. In the Snowpoint gym, the Candace fight worried me a bit, as Ice is one of my worst type matchups. But Gyarados takes out the Piloswine and the Frostlass, then Abomasnow just takes too much damage from Magmar's fiery breath, and I get the Icicle badge from Candace. Now I can climb to Lake Acuity and help out Barry. After reaching Lake Acuity, I find out Jupiter has already beaten Barry and stolen the last of the Lake Trio Pokemon. So my next stop is going to be in Veilstone City, to infiltrate the Galactic headquarters. Before entering, I use a Dawn Stone I picked up inside Mount Coronet and evolve Snorunt into Frostlass. Inside of the HQ, I breeze through all of the grunts and fight Cyrus once again. His team of 3 is no issue. Magmar melts the Sneasel, Bronzong then takes down Crobat, and the combination of Gyarados and Magmar knock out his Honchkrow. Cyrus gives me the Master Ball for some reason, and allows me to release the Lake Trio from their prisons. But first I grab a hidden Razor Claw to evolve Sneasel, and fight Saturn again. He is a pushover, and then I free the legendary Pokemon from Team Galactic. On my way to the top of Mount Coronet, I caught an Absol. Absol is based on the Japanese yokai Kutabe. The Kutabe was depicted with white fur and horns, and was also depicted warning the people of a deadly plague. Statues were then made of the Kutabe to ward off bad spirits. On Spear Pillar I have a team-up battle with Barry versus Mars and Jupiter. I targeted all of Mars's Pokemon first, and when her team was defeated, Barry and I had an easy 2 versus 1 against Jupiter. After defeating the Galactic Commanders for the final time, Cyrus messes with time and space themselves, causing a portal to a different dimension to open. Of course, I jump in, and with the help of Cynthia and the legendary Lake Trio, chase down Cyrus for a final battle with the Galactic boss. His team is much tougher than in any other fight, with 5 fully evolved Pokemon. Whiscash KOs Houndoom with some Surfs, then Licky Licky weakens Gyarados with a Thunderbolt, and my own Gyarados finishes the job. Honchkrow forces my Gyarados to switch, so I move into Weavile and use an Icy Wind to knock out the bird. Except, Honchkrow survives with just a sliver of life, and in return, takes down my Weavile, my second death of the run. Magmar avenges Weavile, and takes out Cyrus's Weavile as well. Bronzong does what it does best, and finishes the fight by knocking out the Poison-type Crobat. With Cyrus out of the picture, I move on to meeting the godlike Giratina myself. I catch it with the Master Ball as it is believed that Giratina's design, especially the origin form, is heavily inspired by the Omukade, a giant centipede that represents the fear of the unknown and is known to strike fear in the hearts of humans and even dragons. But it turns out that Giratina isn't that great for the fights I have left, and I use the ancient dragon more as a taxi than I do as a battle partner. Once I'm back in the real world, the path to Sunny Shore City is clear and I head to get my last gym badge. On Route 222, I encountered my last Pokemon of the run and caught an Electabuzz. Electabuzz is based on the Oni, a yokai often pictured as an ogre or demon with superhuman strength, horns, and massive teeth. It's also the counterpart to Magmar, so it makes sense both are designed around yokai. In the Sunny Shore gym, Volkner puts up a good challenge to my surprise. Torterra takes out Jolteon, then Whiscash gets crit by Crunch, making the matchup against Luxray a little scarier. Whiscash doesn't get crit a second time and knocks out Luxray with a second Earthquake. Once Electivire comes out, I pivot through Magmar, getting a lucky Flame Body proc, and get Torterra in for free. With the Oni burned, Torterra takes half damage from a Fire Punch and KOs Volkner's ace with Earthquake. And finally, after a bunch of switching, Bronzong puts Raichu to sleep and allows Torterra to take its third KO of the fight, winning me the Beacon Badge and the opportunity to challenge the Elite Four. To prep for the Elite Four, I gather some heart scales from Route 213, then go to Canalave City to remove all of the HMs I had to put on Torterra. Then I head to Pastoria to relearn Synthesis and Leech Seed. Jasmine gives me the Waterfall HM and I teach it to Gyarados. With all my preparations done, it's time to tackle Victory Road. The final path before the Elite Four is a pretty easy one, just a maze with some puzzles and a few decently strong trainers, but nothing me and my team couldn't handle. At the Pokemon League, Barry asks for one last rematch before I fight the Elite Four, and this one ends just like the others. Staraptor does scare me to start the fight though. It U-turns into Snorlax, weakening Electabuzz too much for it to keep fighting. Torterra Earthquakes the Snorlax and the bird comes back out. Licky Licky takes an Aerial Ace and luckily also takes a close combat, shocking Staraptor with a Thunderbolt for the KO. Magmar takes out Heracross, and Gyarados cleans up the rest of the fight, setting up Dragon Dances on Floatzel, then knocking it out with Waterfalls. An Ice Fang finishes Roserade, and one more Waterfall defeats Infernape for the final time. Before I challenge the last few trainers in the run, I want to thank you for watching this far into the video. I would really appreciate it if you leave a like, and consider subscribing if you enjoyed the video so far. I plan to continue releasing Pokemon Nuzlocks and other challenge videos, so stick around if you want to see more content like this. Anyway, let's get back to the Elite Four. I level up my Pokemon and enter the Elite Four with a team of Torterra, Electabuzz, Magmar, Whiscash, Gyarados, and Absol. The first trainer is Aaron, a Bug-type specialist. My strategy for Aaron is a straightforward one. Let Choice Specs Magmar obliterate his entire team. Flamethrowers from Magmar one-shot Yanmega, Vespiquen, Heracross, and Scizor. Aaron's ace Drapion is the only Pokemon that can withstand a flamethrower. Unfortunately for Drapion, it can't survive 2, and the first trainer of the Elite Four is defeated. Next up is Bertha, and her ground-type gang of Pokemon is just kind of underwhelming. 4 of her 5 Pokemon have a 4 times weakness, and I have a ton of Pokemon to take advantage of those weaknesses. Torterra starts the fight by one-shotting Whiscash with Razor Leaf. Then I pivot through Gyarados, baiting the Gliscor to use Thunderfang on my Whiscash. Equipped with the Choice Specs, the giant catfish cleans up the rest of Bertha's team, with 1 Surf for each Pokemon remaining. After Bertha, only 3 more fights remain. Third member of the Elite Four is someone I've met before, Flint. Flint loves fire types, but luckily for me, they have the same weakness as Bertha's team, water types, and I have some great ones ready to take him down. Gyarados starts by slamming Houndoom with a Waterfall before it can set up Sunny Day to weaken the water moves. Then I switch to Whiscash on Infernape's Thunder Punch. A Surf knocks the monkey out, and Flint sends in Rapidash. I switch back to Gyarados, take a Solar Beam, and knock out Rapidash, Magmortar, and Flareon, all with Waterfalls. Only 2 more trainers left. The last member of the Elite Four is Lucian, the Psychic type user. This fight took a little bit more prep, but he wasn't any more difficult, as long as nothing went wrong with my opener. Lucian leads with his Mr. Mime, who likes to set up Reflect and Light Screen. I'm using these free turns to set up Swords Dance on Absol, and Sucker Punch through his team the turn before Reflect goes away. The only issue is if Mr. Mime's Thunderbolt paralyzes Absol twice in a row, but that's only a 1% chance. The Mime does successfully land the first paralysis, so it all comes down to the second bolt. The Thunderbolt does not paralyze, and Absol can start sweeping the Psychic types one by one. With his last Pokemon Bronzong, cleared by a Night Slash, I have beaten the Elite Four and earned my right to challenge the final boss of this gauntlet. Cynthia, the final fight. Considered one of, if not the most challenging champion fight in the entire series. I start by using Torterra to KO Spiritomb without losing too much HP. Togekiss comes out next, and Electabuzz takes it down with the combination of Screech and Thunder Punch. Next out is Cynthia's ace, Garchomp. Gyarados has the best shot out of all of my Pokemon to beat this dragon, and if something goes wrong here, it could be curtains for my entire team. It switches in on an Earthquake, then needs to set up 1 Dragon Dance in order to outspeed and one-shot with an Ice Fang. But a Dragon Rush causes a flinch, and now it gets scary. Luckily, the second Dragon Rush misses and allows Gyarados to take out Garchomp. I plan to use Whiscash to beat Lucario, but an Earthquake isn't enough to finish the dog off, so I switch to Torterra while Cynthia uses a full restore. The World Turtle's Earthquake is more powerful than Whiscash's and KOs Lucario. Cynthia has only 2 Pokemon left, but a lot of my team is beat up. Milotic comes out and I switch to Gyarados, and this is where it gets kind of weird. Milotic just tries to use Mirror Coat over and over, so I set up 3 Dragon Dances, and then 2 bites were enough to knock out Milo, and Roserade follows suit, feigning to a powered up Ice Fang. And without any more Pokemon, I have beaten Cynthia and become champion of the Sinnoh region. With Cynthia defeated, the Pokémon Platinum Yokai Nuzlocke is complete, and with only 2 deaths throughout the entire run. The 2 Pokemon that really carried this run were Magmar and Whiscash, which was a nice surprise to me, as you don't really think of them as super strong Pokemon. As always, thank you for watching the video, leave a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you want to see more. Goodbye, and I'll see you next time.